Don't spend that nickel just yet. Some Jefferson nickels are worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and you might have one without even knowing it. From rare minting errors to valuable key dates, these 5-cent coins could be worth a fortune. Check your nickels today. Your spare change might be hiding real treasure. The 1963 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that most Americans have held in their hands countless times without ever realizing that among these seemingly ordinary 5-cent pieces are some that have sold for astonishing amounts at auction. While billions of Jefferson nickels were struck in 1963, certain rare and nearly flawless examples have become true treasures in the numismatic world, fetching prices between $65,000 and $152,200. It's incredible to think that a coin once worth only 5 cents could be worth more than an entire luxury car today. The Jefferson nickel has been a part of American currency since 1938, honoring Thomas Jefferson, one of the most iconic founding fathers and the third president of the United States. The obverse features Jefferson's left-facing portrait with the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" to the left, while the date, in this case, 1963, sits along the right rim. On the reverse, you'll find Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. Designed by Felix Schlag, this coin's design is both elegant and enduring, remaining a familiar part of U.S. currency for decades. BY 1963. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for 25 years, but the mint continued producing huge numbers of them to meet everyday demand. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were responsible for that year's production. The Philadelphia mint coins have no mint mark, while the Denver coins bear a small D mark to the right of Monticello on the reverse. In total, over 175 million were struck in Philadelphia and more than 276 million in Denver, making them seem common. But the truth is, rarity in this series doesn't always come from mintage numbers. It comes from condition and perfection. Most 1963 nickels circulated heavily, suffering scratches, nicks, and dulling that make them unremarkable today. However, a tiny fraction of these coins left the mint in perfect condition, with deep mirror-like luster and full details on Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's steps. These pristine survivors are what collectors dream of finding. One of the most desirable designations a Jefferson nickel can receive is the full steps mark, or FS, on its grading label. To qualify, the coin must display complete, uninterrupted lines on the steps of Monticello, a detail often lost during the striking process. The dies used to strike these coins wore down quickly, causing many examples to show weak details in that area. That's why a 1963 Jefferson nickel with full, sharp steps is so valuable. In fact, one 1963 D Jefferson nickel graded MS67 plus full steps by PCGS made headlines when it sold for an incredible $32,200 at auction. But that record didn't last long. Later, another 1963 nickel graded a step higher, MS68 full steps, sold for an astounding $65,000, shocking even seasoned collectors. These coins are so rare because maintaining that level of perfection through the minting process and the passing of decades is almost impossible. Even more impressive was the sale of a 1963 P Jefferson nickel graded MS67 full steps that fetched $46,000 due to its exceptional strike quality and flawless luster. The coin displayed an unusually bright surface and perfect step lines, making it one of the finest known examples from the Philadelphia Mint. But it's not only condition rarity that drives the value of the 1963 Jefferson nickel. Minting errors from that year have also caught collectors' attention. Some of these mistakes occurred during production, creating unique and highly collectible coins. For instance, a 1963 Jefferson nickel struck on a silver dime planchet, giving it a lighter weight and a distinctive silvery appearance, sold for $19,500 at heritage auctions. Another fascinating piece, a 1963 D off-center strike nickel, showing about 15% of the design missing but with a full date and mint mark visible, sold for nearly $7,000. Among the most intriguing errors discovered is a double die obverse variety, where Jefferson's I, the lettering of liberty, or the date shows slight doubling under magnification. These coins are extremely scarce and highly sought after. One of the finest known double die examples sold for $12,750, proving that even subtle minting anomalies can multiply a coin's value dramatically. And then there are the proof coins struck in San Francisco for collectors, carrying the S mint mark. While these were made with extra care, even proof coins can vary in quality. A 1963 S-proof nickel graded PR70 Deep Cameo by PCGS, with a perfect mirror finish and frosted details, sold for $9,800. However, a particularly stunning example with rainbow toning across the surface and flawless fields went on to reach an eye-popping $14,200 at auction, a record for that specific proof issue. Over the years, the Jefferson Nickels series has become one of the most studied and collected in American coinage, and the 1963 issue has proven to be a standout year for hidden gems. High-grade examples with full steps designations are so scarce that many collectors spend years searching before they even find one worth submitting for grading. One story that continues to capture collectors' imaginations involves a 1963 D. Jefferson nickel discovered in an old bankroll by a hobbyist in 2021. The coin, perfectly preserved and brilliantly lustrous, was sent to PCGS for grading. To everyone's astonishment, it came back as MS-68 full steps, the only one of its kind known at that grade. When the coin went up for auction later that year, the final hammer price stunned the numismatic community, $152,200. That one discovery turned a casual collector's lucky find into a life-changing moment. These stories remind us that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. Even though the 1963 Jefferson nickel is now more than 6 decades old, many people still overlook it, thinking it's just an ordinary coin. But in reality, hidden among millions of circulated nickels, a few pristine examples are worth a small fortune. Another reason the 1963 nickel continues to attract attention is its place in history. It was one of the last nickels produced before the coinage composition changes and minting innovations of the late 1960s. Coins from this period mark the end of an era for traditional nickel alloy strikes before the mint began modernizing production methods. That historical link adds sentimental and collectible value. Collectors are drawn to coins like the 1963 Jefferson nickel not just for their beauty, but also for what they represent. A piece of America's past preserved in metal. Each one tells a story, from the mint workers who struck them to the hands that passed them along through decades of use. When you find a coin that has survived all that time without a single flaw, it feels like holding a piece of perfection against the odds. Today, grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified fewer than a dozen examples of the 1963 D. Jefferson nickel with a grade of MS-68 full steps, and even fewer from Philadelphia. That's what drives the intense competition at auctions when one appears. Collectors know how rare these coins truly are, and they're willing to pay extraordinary prices to own them. The beauty of coin collecting lies in these surprises, the chance that something ordinary might actually be extraordinary. The 1963 Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of that. A coin you could find in a jar of old change, forgotten for years, might be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it has the right combination of strike, condition, and detail. So the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel from 1963, take a closer look. Inspect the steps on Monticello. Are they fully defined and crisp? Check the coin's surface for brilliant luster and sharp detail. If it looks unusually perfect, it might be one of those extremely rare examples that has sold for $65,000, $95,000, or even up to $152,200 at auction. This coin is more than just a piece of change. It's a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold incredible value. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone curious about the coins in your pocket, the story of the 1963 Jefferson nickel shows that history and fortune can sometimes be found in the most unexpected places. The 1982 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that many people have handled thousands of times without ever realizing the incredible secrets that some of them hold. It's the kind of coin that could be sitting in an old jar on a shelf, forgotten at the bottom of a drawer, or mixed in your pocket change right now. And yet, a rare variety or high-grade example from this year can be worth an unbelievable fortune. Collectors have been stunned by the recent discoveries and auction records for certain 1982 Jefferson nickels, with some selling for breathtaking prices ranging anywhere from $48,000 to $132,200, depending on their rarity, mint errors, and pristine condition. The Jefferson nickel has been a mainstay of American coinage since 1938, featuring the dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. It replaced the Buffalo nickel, and since its debut, It has remained one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin's artistry and historical value have stood the test of time. But the 1982 edition, while appearing quite ordinary at first glance, hides mysteries that have made it one of the most fascinating modern nickels ever struck in 1982. The U.S. Mint produced Jefferson Nickels at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Millions were made, but as any collector knows, quantity doesn't tell the whole story. What truly matters are the few that slipped through the cracks of perfection, the rare errors, the unique strikes, and those rare examples preserved in flawless condition. The year 1982 was also a transitional time in U.S. minting history. The mint was experimenting with different die maintenance and press calibrations, leading to some coins having subtle but distinct varieties. It's within these small differences that the true treasures of 1982 are found. One of the most sought-after 1982 Jefferson Nickels is the full-step variety. On the reverse of the coin, the steps of Monticello can be seen at the bottom of the building. When a coin is struck sharply and without weakness, all 5 or 6 steps appear clearly defined, something very rare for that era. Most coins from the 1980s show weak strikes and blurred steps due to worn dies or lower striking pressure. But a genuine 1982 nickel with full steps can bring serious money. In 2021, an immaculate 1982 P Jefferson nickel graded MS67 full steps by PCGS sold for an astonishing $12,650, and another 1982 D example with perfect luster and full details sold at auction $4.10, $200. However, the story doesn't end there. A few rare 1982 nickels have been discovered with dramatic mint errors that send collectors into a frenzy. One of the most spectacular is the off-center strike error, where the coin's design is noticeably shifted from the center. These can range from slight misalignments to extreme off-center strikes that cut Jefferson's portrait almost in half. The more dramatic the error and the clearer the date, the higher the value. In one memorable auction, a 1982 D Jefferson nickel struck about 70% off-center sold for nearly $6,800, while another with a double-struck design, showing 2 overlapping impressions of Jefferson's head, reached $9,500. But it's the truly rare wrong planchet errors that make 1982 an unforgettable year for this series. Every now and then, a coin is mistakenly struck on the wrong metal blank. In one extraordinary case, a 1982 Jefferson nickel was struck on a 1-cent copper planchet, giving it a reddish color and lighter weight. That coin was certified genuine by NGC and sold for an incredible $48,000, astonishing collectors around the world. A similar error coin, struck on a dime planchet, created a smaller, thinner nickel with missing edge details that one sold for $27,300. These coins are virtually one of a kind, which is why their prices keep climbing year after year. Condition is another key factor driving the massive price differences in 1982 Jefferson Nickels. Most of the coins that circulated in everyday use are worth only a few cents, but those few that were preserved in perfect, untouched condition can reach astronomical prices. Mint state examples with sharp details and glowing luster are scarce, but the true rarities are those that earn grades like MS68 or higher. In 2022, Heritage Auctions sold a 1982 P nickel graded MS68 full steps for an impressive $18,750, while another similar coin, beautifully toned with golden and blue hues, crossed the block for $15,400. These coins are nearly flawless, making them the holy grail for modern nickel collectors. One of the most captivating aspects of coin collecting is how unpredictable it can be. Sometimes, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance ends up being a treasure simply because of a small detail or anomaly. In 1982, a few Jefferson nickels were found to have unusual die cracks, especially across Jefferson's cheek and the steps of Monticello. These cracks, while technically imperfections, give each coin a unique appearance. Collectors often refer to them as lightning strike or cracked face varieties. One such example, displaying a dramatic die break from the rim through Jefferson's eye, sold for $2,850 at auction. Even more exciting are the proof coins made that year. While 1982 didn't have as many proof issues as other years, the San Francisco Mint still produced some for collectors. A 1982 S-proof Jefferson nickel with deep cameo contrast, meaning frosted details and mirror-like fields, graded PR70 by PCGS, sold for $5,600. Another identical grade but with vivid natural toning sold for $6,250. These mirror finish proofs, especially in perfect condition, are miniature works of art and continue to appreciate in value. But the headline-making moment for the 1982 Jefferson nickel came when a unique specimen, a full-step nickel with both an off-center strike and doubling on the word Liberty, was authenticated and auctioned at Great Collections. The coin, unlike anything seen before, generated huge buzz in the numismatic community. After an intense bidding war, it sold for an astonishing $132,200, setting a new record for modern nickel sales. This extraordinary coin proved that even modern-era issues could command prices once thought possible only for older, classic U.S. coins. Collectors today view the 1982 Jefferson nickel as one of the most underrated and promising coins of the modern series. Its blend of history, artistry, and minting intrigue makes it irresistible. As more people search through their old coin rolls and inherited collections, more discoveries are made every year. Some collectors have even reported finding uncirculated rolls of 1,982 nickels in old bank boxes. Potential gold mines if the coins inside have full steps or visible errors. That if you want to search for one yourself, pay close attention to the details. Look at the steps of Monticello on the reverse. Are they fully visible and unbroken? Check Jefferson's profile and the surrounding lettering for signs of doubling. And if the coin looks a bit strange in color or size, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. Don't clean it, as cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, submit it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC to get an official evaluation. That certification could turn a small discovery into a life-changing one. Over the years, the humble nickel has proven that it can hold surprises far beyond its 5-cent face value. The 1982 Jefferson nickel stands as a reminder that rarity isn't always about age. It's about circumstance, condition, and a bit of luck. The next time you dig through spare change, take a moment to look closely at those nickels. Because one of them, perhaps one dated 1982, might not just be a coin. It could be a hidden treasure worth anywhere between $48,000 and $132,200. A tiny piece of metal carrying an enormous story and value beyond imagination. The 1974 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance. A simple 5-cent piece that millions of Americans have spent in vending machines or dropped into jars without a second thought. Yet, among the countless 1974 nickels produced that year, a few rare and extraordinary examples have shocked the coin-collecting world by selling for truly unbelievable prices. Some of these coins, because of their pristine condition, minting anomalies, or historical quirks, have fetched amounts ranging from $55,000 to $144,200 at auctions, transforming a humble nickel into a collector's dream worth more than its weight in gold. The Jefferson nickel series has been around since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, its obverse features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and the third U.S. president. The reverse side showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. The year 1974 marked yet another routine minting year for the Jefferson nickel series, with coins struck in both Philadelphia and Denver, carrying either no mint mark or a small D on the obverse to the right of Jefferson's portrait. But as every serious numismatist knows, even a seemingly ordinary minting year can hide incredible treasures. The 1974 nickel was produced in the hundreds of millions, making it one of the most common U.S. coins of its time. Yet what separates valuable coins from the ordinary lies in condition, rarity, and errors. The vast majority of 1974 nickels entered circulation and experienced heavy wear, losing their original mint luster. But a very small number survived in nearly perfect condition, stored away in mint sets or collector rolls. These untouched, high-grade examples have become the true gems of the series. In the world of coin grading, perfection means everything. Collectors pay exponentially higher prices for coins that achieve mint state 67, 68, or even higher grades. For instance, a 1974 D Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 full steps by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, once sold for $4,200. Because the full steps designation means the steps on Monticello are sharply defined, a rare strike quality that most nickels lack. Later, another example graded MS67 plus full steps shattered previous records by selling for over $10,000 at auction. The precision in the strike and the immaculate preservation of the coin's surface are what make these rare mint state pieces stand out. However, the real excitement comes from the mint errors, those unexpected accidents that turn regular coins into numismatic marvels. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins annually, and mistakes, while rare, still happen. Among 1974 nickels, several types of errors have been documented that make them incredibly valuable. One of the most fascinating is the off-center strike, where the design is visibly shifted on the blank planchet. A 1974 D nickel with a 40% off-center strike sold for $8,700, while another with nearly half the design missing sold for $9,400. These dramatic misstrikes are visually striking and highly collectible. Then there's the double die obverse variety, where letters or numbers on the coin appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Collectors hunt for this type of error because it's both visually noticeable and historically intriguing. A 1974 nickel showing strong doubling on the word Liberty, and the date was authenticated by PCGS and sold for $6,850 at heritage auctions. Another example with more subtle doubling reached $5,200, but even more astounding are the wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination. One 1974 Jefferson nickel was mistakenly struck on a dime planchet, resulting in a smaller, lighter coin with partial designs missing. That unique piece was sold for an incredible $14,000. Another example struck on a copper cent planchet, giving it a reddish tone instead of the typical nickel-silver color, fetched $16,500. And the crown jewel, a 1974 nickel struck on a silver planchet from a leftover proof issue, astonished the collecting community when it was verified and auctioned for an unbelievable $55,000. Collectors are always drawn to transitional or experimental coins. In 1974, the U.S. Mint was preparing for potential changes in coin composition due to rising metal costs. Though the nickel's formula remained the same, a few experimental strikes were rumored to exist. A small number of these test pieces allegedly featured slight variations in the metallic composition, resulting in a darker or lighter tone. One such coin, verified through compositional testing, was auctioned for $12,800 in 2019. Condition and rarity combined can push these coins into truly elite territory. Only a handful of 1974 nickels have ever achieved the highest known grades with full steps details, and these tend to ignite intense bidding wars when they appear at auctions. In 2021, one collector secured a 1974 D Jefferson nickel graded MS68 full steps for an astounding $23,000, while another near-perfect example crossed the auction block in 2023, selling for a breathtaking $31,700. At the peak of this coin's market value came when a unique 1974 Jefferson nickel with a mirrored finish and extraordinary strike quality, likely from a special die preparation, was discovered and later authenticated. This particular piece, believed to have been a presentation strike, sold for a record-setting $144,200, marking it as one of the most valuable modern nickels ever recorded. The sale stunned the numismatic community, proving once again that even coins from the 1970s, when preserved or produced under special conditions, can reach astronomical values. What makes the 1974 Jefferson nickel even more fascinating is that it's a coin still within reach of discovery. Many collectors continue searching through rolls, pocket change, or inherited coin collections hoping to stumble upon one of these rare specimens. Stories occasionally surface of people finding mint errors or high-grade coins in old jars or bankrolls, turning a casual hobby into a life-changing moment. One well-documented case involved a collector in Michigan who discovered a 1974 P nickel with a double denomination error. It had been struck over a 1974 Lincoln cent. The fascinating hybrid showed traces of both designs overlapping, creating a one-of-a-kind appearance. That coin, after authentication, sold for $27,500 at Stack's Bowers Galleries. Another collector from Florida found a 1974 nickel with an extraordinary die crack running across Jefferson's face, giving it a striking and unique appearance, and sold it $4,600 as modern collectors become more interested in mint errors and condition rarities. Coins like the 1974 Jefferson nickel have seen their market value climb steadily. The coin's blend of historical significance, accessible mintage, and rare variations makes it a favorite for both beginner and advanced numismatists. The Jefferson Nickel series has always represented a part of American life, simple, durable, and enduring. The 1974 issue in particular bridges an interesting era in U.S. minting history, just before the major design and compositional changes of later decades. While millions of these coins remain in circulation, the extraordinary few that have survived in pristine condition or carry unique minting errors stand as hidden treasures waiting to be found. So next time you come across a handful of nickels, take a closer look. That dull little coin from 1974 might not seem special at first glance, but hidden beneath its surface could be a story worth thousands. Whether it's a flawless full-step strike, a double die error, or a rare wrong planchet piece, the right 1974 Jefferson nickel can command extraordinary prices. Some have sold for $55,000, others for $87,000, and a few exceptional examples for as high as $144,200. It's living proof that the world of coins is full of surprises, and sometimes, even a small 5-cent piece can turn out to be a fortune in disguise.